The following program is brought to you with limited commercial interruption.
Today's broadcast is being simulcast in broken English.
I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world.
Welcome to the show that we're doing right now.
What the hell are we doing on this show?
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Let's go.
What is this?
Giggity, 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 goo.
Who else but
The Q.
it's showtime? Gentlemen, let's get down to business.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yeah, I can dig it, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Q. Now you're listening to the best pop culture, current events, current affairs show east or west of that Mississippi River, hailing from the great city of St. Louis and worldwide at theqnow.com. I am your host, Mark Bland, and we are here on 1280 AM KYRO 105.3 FM News Radio KYRO.com every single Saturday 1 till 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, joining me today on this show is one epic man himself. Mr. Jason Cole is here.
I like being called an epic man.
You like being called the epic man?
Right?
Because I'm the Gen X icon.
It's kind of like EpiPen.
And I'm going to be putting the Gen X icon status on the line tonight in a wrestling match at South Broadway Athletic Club. We've got me versus Shaft. That's coming up later tonight, 7 p.m., South Broadway Athletic Club. Go search Ticket Leap and MMWA at the same time in Google. It'll take you right to the page if you want to try to get tickets. I think it's almost sold out or standing room only. I'm not sure. But we've got a lot to get to. We've got a lot to get to Jason. And we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about pro wrestling. We've been talking about wrestling and wrestling for weeks and weeks on end. Right. We are going to focus on other more important and equally as awesome things in this world. We also have a gentleman by Mr. LaFawn.
Yeah, Mitch.
Mitch LaFawn is going to be coming on the show here in just a little while. We're going to talk with him about the Grammy Awards, Jason.
Yeah.
As well as on this episode of The Q Now, we have our State of the Union. What happened?
Wasn't that something?
Well, I called it hours and hours before it happened. Others probably called it too. It was pretty much writing on the wall type stuff, so I wasn't surprised at what happened. But we'll discuss that, as well as we have the fourth round. We're going to need a quarter for our fourth round of the One Hit Wonders bracket for the Tournament of Pop Culture. That's right. We are in the fourth and final round, and it's going to be exciting.
It is exciting.
I'd love to have Mr. Fawn, on the show with us to do that part of the show. But unfortunately, he's a busy man.
He's got some time.
He's got things that he's got to do himself. He's only got so much time to work with us, and he's a critic based out of Canada. So we're really excited. We'll be talking to him shortly coming up. What's going on in your world, Jay? How are you?
I'm good. Not much going on in my world. I like you, was not surprised at the State of the Union. Yeah,
we'll get to the State of the Union when it's time to talk. I mean, if you want to talk some State of the Union now, we can. I don't have a problem with that.
Backing you up.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we can get into a little State of the Union talk right now.
Kick some politics out of the way before you bring in the rock guy.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we just got a lot of music. I want to keep it broken up a little bit, but that's right. Republicans condemn Biden for putting rural America last in his State of the Union by ignoring Chinese firms buying U.S. farmland after spy balloon debacle. And they say the inflation is still hurting our main streets. That's right. GOP Representative Randy Fenestra of Iowa told the Daily Mail that he believes President Joe Biden overlooked the concerns of large swaths of the U.S. in his speech. Biden condemned China's encroachment into U.S. airspace in indirect terms, but Fiestra knocked him for not mentioning Chinese companies buying up the agricultural land in the U.S., which he said is bipartisan concern. Yeah. So let's talk about this for a second, ladies and gentlemen. We had the 2023 State of the Union address that we just had, and our man Joe Biden was up there once again to kind of discuss with the people, and I don't know what it is. Listen. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not saying that Joe Biden lied to you. This idea that the United States is strong right now, the State of the Union is strong, it's powerful, it's running over the world.
It's here. It's definitely here. Oh, wait. The State of the Union has a cold.
Listen, I couldn't even get that out of my mouth properly without almost choking on the words.
Right.
We are not a strong State of the Union, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to sit here and say that we are like hobbled, bleeding, and broken, kind of like Shaft will be. I'm not saying that is what's going on with the United States of America in the eyes of the rest of the world and where we're at when it comes to the State of the Union in America currently either. But I am not going to sit here and try to present this unified front that Joe Biden keeps trying to throw out there. Guys, I said from day one, I didn't have a problem with Joe Biden. I didn't say that Joe Biden was the best option, but between him and Donald Trump, he was the much better of the two options. For sure.
Way better.
For sure. Now, I've never come off of that. We've had Dirty on the show. We've had Gary Weed on the show. We've had many different people who've been on this show who are liberals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they have sat here many a time and discuss the Joe Biden aspect with us. And I have come on this show within the last 3 months alone myself, multiple times, at least 2, maybe 3 times at this point, and said, I feel Joe Biden's lost a step. I've said that myself. Jason's sitting directly across from me. I feel that he's lost a step. Now, with that being said, I do not feel the United States is strong currently when it comes to the State of the Union. I feel like there's still hampering inflation going on that is killing a lot of the middle income and the middle class and their income. Okay?
Yeah.
I feel like that there is noticeable things with Joe Biden specifically himself that I've noticed with the way he talks, the speech patterns, the way he handles himself. I've noticed a lot of that too. But that does not mean that this State of the Union was really all that much about the state of our actual union. What this State of the Union was the Republicans' attempted referendum after the 2022 midterms that they literally got smacked around in.
They did.
To come back and try to play the Obama, you're a liar!
Right.
You're a liar, Obama! From like, who was that? Who was that?
That was
it McConnell or was it one of those yahoos from one of those red states that's an idiot or moron?
And you know what's crazy about it though is,
and he laughed it off. If you remember, Obama looked at him, and he just kind of laughed it off a little bit and like moved on. Like, and we always thought back when that happened, we're like, wow, the lack of decorum from these individuals is ridiculous. And guys, that was when Obama was president. That was 8 years ago.
And that was one guy.
That was one man.
One guy yelled out.
One time. Now,
there were like 15 of them last night.
Let us talk about where our friend Joe Biden has not lost a step. Putting people in their place. Because when these guys decided they wanted to play their game, he allowed them to play their game. He even allowed Marjorie Taylor Greene to scream, dressed as Cruella DeVille, as loud as she could, that he was a liar. Which, by the way, that wasn't the first time. It was like the 6th time she had screamed it. It was just happened to be everyone else not hemming and hawing and being more prominent than her. And they happened to have died down vocally just enough to where you could hear her over the top of everybody. But then he turned it around very quickly and he said, well, because what he was talking about at the time was, hey, Social Security and Medicare, or Medicaid, you guys have had these on the table? You sit here and you pretend like you haven't, and all the people, him and hawing, like that Mike Lee guy from South Carolina who famously got dragged this week on Twitter after the fact because they all found his little video of him talking to donors about how he wants to get rid of Social Security.
What did he say? Pull it up from the roots.
Pull it out. And literally looking at him in that video, he's pretending to be all guffaw, like, oh my God, I can't believe that you'd even say this. And it's like, and now we just show everybody this. And this is what the 2024 election will become, ladies and gentlemen. Every time a dumb person like a Ron DeSantis or a Donald Trump says something stupid, They're going to play videos of the insurrection. They're going to show him telling people to go to the Capitol. And they're just going to remind everybody the idiots that these people are. Oh. And it's so simple now because they all want to be social media superstars like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. It's not. Literally, Lauren Boebert proved it again. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit coming up because we'll get to that down the road here.
Yeah.
But today there was an oversight committee with some Twitter stuff that had to do with shadow banning and all this other stuff. And Lauren Boebert went nuts because she was so butthurt about something from a few years ago that happened to her that obviously once we discuss it and I play the audio clip for you, all of you will tap in very quickly and go, oh, I see what you're saying, Mark. And yeah, you're 100% right. And it's just like, these things are super noticeable, but this was all a referendum, Jason, for them to try to attack Joe Biden and to make him look bad. That's what they wanted. Trump even told them before the State of the Union to do these types of dumb things. Other people had been planning and talking about it. And like I said, these social media superstars, they couldn't help themselves but post about it and talk about it and put the videos up that we will eventually use against them.
You know, reportedly, Kevin McCarthy supposedly pulled his caucus aside. I don't know if it was all 100 and or 200 or whatever.
Who cares?
Told them, don't act up, don't yell out. He looked like a dad at Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, he looked like an absolute moron.
He looked like if he was at a store, he'd be doing that quiet screaming. You know,
he didn't even listen. So when we say that Joe Biden got him back, at the end of his little diatribe, they guffawed over the fact that he said that they had this on the chopping block, the Social Security and the Medicaid.
Right.
And they all said they didn't. And basically he called them out on it. He goes, okay, well, then we are for Medicaid and you guys are for it too, evidently. Right. So I guess that's off the table. There's nothing to it. And by the way, as soon as he was done saying that, they all stood together slowly on the Republican side, but eventually everybody except for Kevin McCarthy, the guy that probably should have stood up to actually make himself look less stupid. Kevin McCarthy, he didn't stand up at all. He just sat back there like a lummox.
Rolled his eyes a lot.
Like an idiot. And the rest of these people, outside of Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, they all stood up and they cheered for Joe Biden. And he said, look, there it is, unity right there.
Yeah.
This is proof that Joe Biden is a unifying individual and can do it. Still doesn't mean that he hasn't lost a step, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to sit here and say that because I just gave you that piece of information and threw it out there about the State of the Union, that all of a sudden now the State of the Union is strong. It's not.
But,
nothing has changed, guys. It's only been 3 minutes of us talking or 5 minutes of us talking or whatever.
Imagine that group of people, though, got walked into a trap set by an 80-year-old man who we all agree has lost a little bit.
Right. That's the funny thing. But here's the worst.
What if that was Obama? They wouldn't have stand a chance.
And here's the best part. The House GOP made Biden look better with their annex.
Oh, they
like
did.
As I said, Kevin McCarthy should have stood up at the times that he never did to make himself look better. He's pulling people off the side before the show starts, telling them, don't act up.
Yep.
They acted up, and when it was all said and done, when you mix it with what Joe Biden was able to pull off with this one moment and this one speech, which technically he could have come off looking really bad in this speech. He really could have. I just told you, the union is not strong right now. It really isn't. I understand all you liberals want to beat your chest. I get it. I'm a moderate who loves to lean liberal. I want to beat my chest as much as Jason from Iowa does. But I can't. I'm not going to allow myself to be stupid and look at my bank account and not realize these things and those things. Now, I'm not going to blame Joe Biden for those reasons. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Joe Biden, you're the reason COVID happened. Oh, Joe Biden, you're the reason supply chains shut down. Oh, Joe Biden, you're the reason that people couldn't get supplies for their companies and their businesses over the last 2.5 years. Oh, Joe Biden, you're the reason that blah, blah, blah this or blah, blah, blah that. You're the reason that she wore that stupid looking like stuff and then you started screaming like I'm not going to blame Joe Biden because we're not idiots.
You know, speaking of blaming Joe Biden and we're not idiots, did you see Lauren Boebert react to when he talked about how our schools were once closed and we need to get back? She put on there, yeah, Joe, the schools are closed because of you. He wasn't president in 2020, Lauren. He was president in 2021 when schools were open. That's the thing about them. They never fail to self-own.
Well, also, Lauren also doesn't realize, I guess, and maybe you and me can help her out real quickly
right.
Here on the Q now. She lives in a state called Colorado. Now, Jason, if I was to ask you off the top of your head, Colorado, liberal or conservative? Go.
Definitely blue. I don't know if they're all
Whoa,
liberal.
whoa. You said definitely what?
They're
You
blue.
didn't say, maybe blue, maybe not, maybe red, maybe not. No. You said definitely
I think
100%.
3 elections.
100% in the book, blue.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, and they were one of the
Lauren.
first states to go recreational.
Lauren, sweetheart, you're from a blue state.
Yeah, and won by like
where
500
they're
votes.
going to. I'm not even going to talk. Listen, we're not going to give credence to losers anymore. We're not doing it
Losers
anymore,
are
Jay.
gone, right?
Jay,
That's a good idea.
Jay, no, I'm serious.
We
We're not
shouldn't even
giving
talk about it.
credence to the losers anymore, whether it's professional wrestling, whether it's sports, whether it's politicians, whether it's music. We're not going to give the losers any value anymore. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Lauren, you're from a blue state. A state that took COVID way more serious than your little, small, incrementally dumb town that barely elected you back into office. Yeah. I hope you understand that you barely made it back into office in that state, and that you're so dumb you don't even realize that your state is blue and that you are a conservative, which is red, the other color. So when you make your dumb comments and Jason calls you out, you're just a moron, a stupid woman who's an idiot who doesn't matter anymore. Literally, that's where we're at. Guys, we've got to move past this idiocy. What we saw from Marjorie Taylor Greene with the screaming and all this, looking like a complete, utter moron, we got to move on. We don't have time for it anymore. Yes, I understand you think you're tough, person. You're not tough. You're local. That's it. We're moving on. Like, I'm not dealing with these things any further. They have to have value for us to continue to beat our chest. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to talk to one Mr. Mitch LaFawn. We're going to take a quick break here on KYRO, and when we come back, we're going to talk some Grammys. That's right. The 2023 Grammy Awards just happened. You know we love to talk music, me and Jay. We'll be back here on the Q now, right after this. $12:80 a.m. KYRO. That's right. This is the Q now. I'm Mark Bland, your illustrious host. Jason Cole is sitting right over there.
I'm right over here.
And Jason.
Yes.
We've got an exciting person who's joining us on the radio right now.
This guy knows things.
This guy knows things that others don't know. He probably knows the band that we're playing currently, personally.
I would assume so.
I would assume at some point in his career that he knows this band. Ladies and gentlemen, Canadian music critic Mitch LaFawn is on the radio with us right now. What is going on, Mitch? How are you, sir?
Good. I'm doing good. And, of course, being Canadian, what's going on is I'm watching hockey in the background.
You're watching hockey in the background. I love it. I'm not going to lie. I do love that. What I did want to talk to you about, and I wanted to ask you about, Mr. LaFawn, while we have you here, is what is your... Well, first off, what part of Canada are you coming to us from right now?
I'm coming to you from the suburbs of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And listen, it's a great place. We've got a great hockey team. We've had a baseball team.
You did. You definitely did. So what? I guess so. You're in Montreal. Being in Montreal, I would assume that are you one of the dual-speaking citizens of Montreal, the Canadian and French side of things?
Yes, I am.
Yes, je suis, monsieur.
He could watch those Expos games and know what's going on.
He knew exactly what was going on, or wear a really loud jacket like that one Canadian hockey announcer. He's always got the
Don Cherry.
There it is, Don Cherry. Yeah, I love Don Cherry. You got to understand, we're based here in St. Louis, Missouri, so the Blues are here. Who cares? At least for me, because
listen, the Blues and the Checker Dome. Come on.
Hey, I do love the old barn.
Classic.
Yes, that's a classic right now. I'm not going to lie to you, dude.
Either one of us.
And I have St. Louis Blues shirts. I have a whole bunch of them because I've always loved your logo.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair, too. But I'm a Flyers fan.
And I'm a Blackhawks fan, so we are outliers in this town.
We are outliers for this town and this radio station specifically, because we do play the Blues games here.
That is true.
Welcome to the Q now, Mr. LaFont. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you are a busy man. As I stated, you are a music critic who is based out of Canada. And you have been around for how many years now? I think we're going on 40-something?
Well, I did my first interview with Gene Simmons when I was 11 in June of 1980, believe it or not. But I started doing the rock star interview thing a little more seriously in 96. So 27 years of interviewing Bon Jovi and Metallica and Genesis and Judas Priest and Kiss and whoever you want to mention, I've probably interviewed them at least once. Yeah.
Now, for people out there who might not be familiar with the Canadian side of the music world, up there, what we call the Grammy Awards here, they have the Juno Awards up there. And we really don't ever. Here's the funny thing. Since we're based here in the United States, right, we don't get influenced by a lot of Canadian broadcasting, right? Like, we have, like, Schitt's Creek, the TV show, and things like that like, will find their way into our vernacular, or Kim's Convenience. Like
Second City?
Second City. Well, yeah, sure. But my point being is, like, these things will find their way slowly into us here in the United States. What is it like for you guys up there in Canada when it comes to American television and TV shows? Because we'd never get the Juno Awards unless it was on like a specific station on cable that happened to be playing it. Like, it would never get like any mainstream press here for the most part. How does the Grammys work out for you guys up there?
Well, we are completely and utterly oversaturated with American content, and I love it. In fact, most of us up here, we don't say Montreal, we say Montreal. Montreal. But because I have watched American TV my entire life, I say Montreal, and people look at me and go, "Oh, are you from the States?" And I go, "No, I just watch American TV."
What is your favorite American television show of all time? The one that just really caught you and you loved it?
Oh, good God. I guess it varies over the years, but
sure.
I mean, I've always loved 24 with Jack Bauer.
Okay.
Kiefer Sutherland. I've always liked Cheers.
Are you getting into anything right now that's current that people are talking about?
Right now, actually, on the current list, Tulsa King.
Oh my God, it's fantastic.
Sylvester Stallone is great. And there's a show on CBS, a comedy, which is a little bit silly, but it's called Ghosts.
Okay.
And the reason I started watching it is because where I walk my dogs in the summer is where they film it. And I didn't realize that it was the CBS Paramount production, so I've been walking my dog past it for 2 years, and then I found out that it was the CBS show, so I started watching it, and I started recognizing, parts of the park and parts of and I went, damn. I got pictures of my dog in front of those trailers. So there's a show on CBS Paramount called Ghosts. Just a comedy, half-hour comedy.
Oh, yeah.
It's frivolous, but it's literally filmed in my backyard. And it's just like, oh, okay,
that's fair.
I'll watch it.
There's nothing wrong with that. Well, hey, listen, Mitch, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know, like you said, you've been dealing with a lot of things yourself. We just did have the 2023 Grammy Awards go off. And, as a music guy myself, who's got a career in the music industry as well as yourself, and Jason is a huge music fan himself, the biggest story that came out of this event was, from what I see, is mostly about Sam Smith dressing like Satan to perform his hit song with Kim Petras. But the thing that kind of caught me off guard is two things, and I'd love to hear your opinion on these two things. We'll start off with, I was kind of disappointed in the Grammy Awards, and I'll tell you why. As a guy who comes from the world of hip-hop, primarily, and a person who has worked hard to make hip hop work and be successful in the United States of America and around the world. I was a little disappointed in how much time that they kind of divulged to the world of hip hop culture. Like, they spent basically combined together about hour and 45 minutes, almost 2 hours on hip hop. And I noticed there was about an hour of everything else that kind of got lumped together. And it kind of caught me off guard, which I think it was just a year or two ago that we already had Beyonce breaking a record, and it was a big night for her when she broke that record. And now all of a sudden we had another night where she's breaking another record, which is probably her own record again. And I feel like the way that this is starting to get scheduled out is that it's not so much about the music business anymore. It's now becoming, what is the mainstream's focus and where do they want it to be? What's your opinion on that?
But is that really a big change? Because when you look back at the days when they had, your Guns N' Roses or some of the, the harder rock bands or Olivia Newton-John, I mean, they've always
Jethro Tull, that heavy metal master that he is.
Well, of course, but I'll discuss that at length because I do think Jethro Tull deserved to win, but for different reasons.
Okay.
But that's the American Music Awards.
We'll have to do that on a different episode, I bet.
That was the Grammys.
That was the Grammys.
Yeah, it was the Grammys. Yeah, listen, I'll tell you real quick. You listen to the Injustice for All. The mix was terrible. There was no bass. The sound's muddy. You listen to that Jethro Tull album, it's pristine, it's perfect, it sounds perfect. So,
but is it metal?
Reward?
Maybe a different category. Maybe we should have put him
in. Yeah, but I mean, our choices were limited. But you couldn't reward Metallica for a shitty sounding album at that time. You couldn't.
Right. I understand.
Sorry, I said a bad word.
You're okay, buddy.
You couldn't reward Metallica for a poor sounding record at that time. I mean,
that's okay.
It would have been disingenuous.
No, that's fair.
Reward them.
Well, even Metallica will admit to that album not being mixed very well. Like, even now, today, and that's a shame, too, because song-wise, that's a really good album. It just sounds like it was recorded in a coffee can.
Now, Mitch, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. We didn't even get to your original point on that.
Yeah, hold on. We got the dogs for a second here.
No, you're okay, man.
Well, and by the way, Steve Thompson, who mixed the Metallica record, is actually a personal friend, and he hates when I talk about it because it was Lars who went in afterwards and slashed and cut and took out all the bass, and yet it's his name that's on the record. He's like, don't badmouth the record. It wasn't me.
Right. No, that's fair, and I understand that.
But for the original point, I mean, listen, the Grammys has always chased popular culture. They've always chased what's hot on the market because that's what sells.
That's true.
That's true. Teens and tweens, and you're selling it to and I hate to use this term soccer moms, but I'm trying to be. No,
you're right. You're right, though. It is soccer moms. You're right.
And so they don't want to spend
8
hours listening to the new Marilyn Manson record that came out, or the new.
Hey, listen, aside from my music career in the world of music, I have a professional wrestling career. And in fact, tonight I'm actually probably wrestling my last professional wrestling match later on tonight.
Wow.
And one of the things that was famously said to me that I 100% agree with was WrestleMania was not designed for professional wrestling fans. It was designed for everyone who wasn't a professional wrestling fan to want to buy into a pay-per-view for one night to get their money out of their pocket. And I 100% agree.
Right, because I'm not a wrestling fan, and I loved all the WrestleManias, and I rented every video cassette.
There it is. Now, the other thing from the Grammys that I wanted to ask you about was Bonnie Raitt. I was a little disappointed that Bonnie Raitt won. I'm not against it. I love Bonnie Raitt. I've met her a few times. She's always been a sweet lady to me. I think she's a very talented and very iconic individual in the business of music, and I have nothing against Bonnie Raitt whatsoever. I just know that Adele's Easy on Me was a better song. in my opinion. Like, it was just as well done, just sounded just as good from top to bottom. Like, I feel like, and it had the mainstream success too. It wasn't just Mark thinking, oh, I'm a music guy, so I kind of get it. She did a good job. No. It was me and every other human on earth who heard it that was like, oh, play that again. I want to hear it. I want to sing along with it. And I was kind of confused at the Bonnie Raitt aspect.
Well, listen, I agree with you. But also, Steve Stevens, who's in Billy Idol's band, he pointed this out, and I thought he was smart about this. He said, you have to remember the Grammy is voted upon by people that have the membership, that are invited to be on the voting panel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
And they're in the business, and I think out of deference or out of just respect, a lot of them voted for Bonnie because, first of all, they didn't think maybe that their vote mattered and that it would accumulate to her getting the win, or they just wanted really to say to her, hey, you've been at this for 50 years or whatever it is, 1971, I think she started.
They gave her the tip of the cap, is what you're saying?
Yes, and I think that he made a valid point. Steve Stevens made a valid point. He's like, listen, this is not a fan vote. This was people in the industry going, that lady deserves our respect. The other ones, they're going to get their due, and they've got another, 20 years of getting their due, but tip of the hat to her. I mean,
okay,
listen,
that's fair.
I like that explanation. It's not my explanation, but I bought into that explanation. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Why not?
All right. My last thing that I got for you, because like I said, we don't want to keep you forever, but at the same point, we want to talk to you a little bit and have some fun talking to you, is Harry Styles. A lot of people were against Harry for winning Album of the Year, but when I looked back at the situation as a person who's worked in this industry like yourself, and I looked at the overall, I go, okay, Harry had a good album. It was really stylishly well done. He had his One Direction years where he gets a little love here for this song or, best new artist on his own solo type thing right here, right? Eventually, he was going to nail it with something, and I think we learned off the last album, he was on his way there. I think what he did on this one was he perfected it, and he figured it out. And that's why I think he won. What do you think?
I fully agree. I mean, here's a guy who's had a very successful career. He's in the public eye all the time. He's on the radio all the time. He's one of the hottest entities in the market. How do you not reward that? And I think the Grammys wanted to sort of say, yeah, as you're saying, it came full circle. You checked all the boxes on this one. We're going to give it to you. Which is really weird, too, because, Mitch, last year when The Weeknd gets completely, forgotten about for his album, excuse me, I thought that was kind of a travesty because that might be his best album that he had put out up to that point outside of the Daft Punk album that The Weeknd had done with Daft Punk. So I was like, wow, this is a really great album. It's got a ton of good hits. It reminded me a lot of Michael Jackson in the 80s and the vibe, that dancier, more edgier vibe, and I appreciated that. And then it got completely snubbed. And then it was like, oh, okay. And then this year, Harry comes around, and it's like, oh, but we do notice when people do stuff that's really good beforehand. And we give them and it's like, well, then why didn't we do it for The Weeknd last year? Yeah, listen, there's all kinds of theories as to why The Weeknd didn't win, but I think they got it right this year. And, okay. Listen, ultimately the Grammys is good to hold, and it's good to have, and it helps you sell records, but I don't think it's really the be-all and end-all to mark a career or to sort of validate a career. But listen, Harry got it this year, and I'll add this just off the cuff. I've actually held a Grammy in my hands. Thank you very much. It's quite a thrill, I have to say. All right. On this show, there is something famous, Mitch, you don't know about. I am not a fan of the Iron Maiden. Okay,
you gotta help me, Mitch.
I've talked about the Iron Maidens, and we've had a guy that's come on this show, and this is the last thing before we let
Iron Maiden the band.
Iron Maiden the band. Oh yes, that band from England.
Yeah, he's probably a bigger fan of the torture device than he is the band.
Yeah, probably. I'm a bigger fan of the torture device itself.
I'm not going to agree with you, but I'm not going to disagree with you. When I hear Iron Maiden on, Much Music or MTV back in the day or the radio, I enjoy the songs.
But did it
I've
stick
seen them
out?
live a couple of times, and I'm just bored.
There it is. That's literally no, Mitch. That's great that you said that. Right, you can be a fan of this band, but what I tried to explain to people, and I'm glad that you just tapped that. To me, they were a T-shirt in the '80s. They were Eddie, the whatever guy.
They have music. They are not a T-shirt.
They
You
are a
cannot say
T-shirt.
they are a T-shirt.
They were a poster with the skeleton
They are
Eddie
a
robot,
band
whatever.
that's been around for 45 years that still sell out arenas
But
with
as
no
Mitch,
radio play.
as Mitch just stated right there, he even got bored with them, and I'm trying to explain to people this is why it's taking so long to get them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They didn't stick out. They just didn't stick out above everyone else.
But I tell you
That's
what,
my opinion.
It's that the Hall of Fame is a tough one for me because I sort of believe that they belong there because you look at all the heavy metal that came after.
Oh, sure, yeah.
A lot of the bands were influenced by Maiden, but it's a little bit like Foreigner. Foreigner, to me, deserve to be there. They wrote the songs. Whenever you listen to classic radio, you hear a Foreigner song. They're ubiquitous, but yet they're unremarkable. If somebody said, well, who are the 5 members of, you ask your average soccer mom, who's in the band? They'd be like, oh, it's Foreigner. Well, who's the drummer? Oh, it's Foreigner. And I think that face and name recognizability, that has to be part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, you have to be famous. I mean, right?
You do, and I'm not going to sit there and try to say that Iron Maiden isn't famous. I'm not going to sit there and try to say that they haven't sold albums. I'm not going to sit there and try to say that they don't have a spot in the world of heavy metal in the history of music. What I'm just saying
They
is
have a cultural impact.
It's kind of like
that's where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame draws the line. Do they have a cultural impact? And outside our sort of echo chamber of heavy metal, I'm not sure they really have an impact to some.
yeah, but I'm talking as a metal fan. I'm not saying they're a popular band.
Correct, and that's fair. Jason, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Like you've never claimed to step outside of that heavy metal fandom, and I understand that. I appreciate that.
That's where I come at it.
My argument has always just been in general. Like if we're going to look at these guys in a general sense, that's kind of where I stand.
Wow.
But at the same point, Iron Maiden eventually is going to get in anyway. It doesn't matter what I think or you think.
In the end, they're
else.
all getting it.
They're all going to get it.
It's going to be like,
Which, by the way,
out of bands.
last question for you, Mitch, before we get out of here. And I know that you're busy. You got to do things. So, last question. Should it be called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or should we just call it the Music Hall of Fame at this point?
I have always favored the Music Hall of Fame, and I'll tell you why. And obviously you can guess, but we have the Country Hall of Fame, and the Country Hall of Fame puts in Dolly Parton, they put in Willie Nelson, but they're not putting in Iron Maiden, they're not putting in, Nickelback, which they should because it's a terrific band. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame lets in all these people from the other genres. So at some point we either say, well, we're a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which means Foreigner, Styx, Journey, Kiss, whatever, or we're Missy Elliott, we're Pat Benatar, we're whoever they're letting, and you go, well, actually Pat Benatar would be rock, but it has to be the Music Hall of Fame. If
It does. It just does.
Dolly Parton standing there next to Kiss. Well, I'm sorry.
Fair enough. No, Mitch. You don't have to sit there and beat everybody over the head on this one because we all know that you're 100% right. But listen, I want to first off say thank you so much for joining us on the Q Now today. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to jump in with us. I'm a huge fan of you now, and I would love to have you come back on the show soon if we could and talk more music, more TV shows, more everything. If you'd love to do that, that would be great.
We're about 2 months out from the Hall vote. So.
What's that? What'd you say, Jay?
No, I said we're about, 2 months out from the Hall vote?
Yeah, we're about 2 months out from the Hall vote, but we could get him on for other things. He's called Tulsa King. He knows what a Trevor Sheridan, or whatever his name, Taylor Sheridan, or whatever. He knows what these guys are. He knows all that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, well, Mitch, thank you so much, sir.
You're very welcome. Any time, and go St. Louis. Big fan.
All right, fair enough. Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mitch LaFon. You guys can find him online. Google his name. This man is a music critic of all music critics, and we will have him back on the queue now. Hold on the line for a second, and we'll be back with you in a second. Okay, Mitch?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us with Mitch. We will be back on KYRO right after this. 1280 AM KYRO News Radio, KYRO.com. Every Saturday, 1 till 3 p.m. The Q Now. Mark Bland, joined today by none other than Mr. Jason Call. That's right. That's you over there. There you are.
Rocking out now.
We had Mr. Mitch LaFong on the phone with us just a few minutes ago. We were talking about the Grammys. We were talking about all the fun that was going on. And Jason, there's one thing that I took from that conversation.
Yes.
That our friend Mitch said. Mm-hmm. Now, I know this is going to be difficult for you and Gary Wee to understand.
Doesn't matter.
But it sounded like there was a music critic who was like, hey, I can see what Mark's saying. I can see where Mark's coming from with this, right? It wasn't just this Mark hates because Mark's an angry person and no one else understands, and Mark's just this. It's like, no.
Well, he did say they were good, and they had
He
good
did.
albums.
He did say that they were talented. And I also said that they'll get in the Hall of Fame, and that I wasn't taking anything away from them as talented people or the ability to be well-known or historically well-known in music.
They came up a little boring live. And you know what, though? I can agree with him with that, because what Iron Maiden does, and even great Iron Maiden fans have this issue, when they perform live, when they tour on an album, they have a tendency to play a lot of songs off that album.
Right.
And that kind of puts off fans, and new people coming in don't get to hear all the classic songs because they're hearing this album that just came out. And
I'm friends with my buddy Jack Blade's son. James is a good friend of mine, and Jack is the lead singer of Sister Christian.
Night Ranger.
Night Ranger. Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have forgotten that. But the lead singer of Night Ranger. You know what I'm saying? And I've talked to James many a time, and it's difficult because James is one of the individuals now who helps manage and take care of the history of Night Ranger and where it's going from there on out. And he has happily taken on that. He was kind of like under the tutelage of Doc McGee, who famously was around a lot of big bands and helped Metallica and everybody get to where they were at, Kiss and everybody, Bon Jovi, all these guys.
Motley Crue.
And so, like, this is how he got involved with Ted Nugent, all of these guys. And so one of the things we've talked about is it's difficult to ride that line because you have to keep what kept the people caring in the first place there. Mm-hmm. You also have to try to bridge out and expand and become more. And because you're dealing with musicians, you're dealing with individuals who do this all the time, and they're going to want to flex that talent muscle every once in a while. Like a good pro wrestler, they're going to want to flex that talent muscle every once in a while and show people what they can do. Like, even if it might be above and beyond their normal Call of Duty, which is what's getting ready to happen with me probably tonight in this wrestling match. We're going to find out, though. We're going to find out. Me versus Shaft is getting ready to happen tonight. So, did you watch the Grammys by any chance?
I did. And you know what? I'm not a big pop music fan.
Okay.
But I thoroughly enjoyed the Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder, and then
okay, yeah. I know
Chris
Brown Chris
Stapleton playing the guitar on Higher Ground. That was nice.
Right.
I really enjoyed that.
I just, like I said to Mitch on the phone, I was kind of thrown off by the fact that they went for this, extended on the hip hop side of things. I wasn't against it. Listen, we could have flurried this out a little bit better. I'm not saying that it just seemed like lumped is what it was. And that was my problem. It was like, we could have flurried this a little bit more.
Overextended a little bit.
Yeah, we could have peppered it a little bit. We kind of broken it up and put it, mixed it around a little bit. And I never understood, and we really didn't get a chance, but the whole Satan, Kim Petras, Sam Smith thing that are the other thing that everybody's talking about is Madonna.
Oh, she looked different.
And I need to talk about Madonna for a second. Can I do this with you, sir?
She makes me sad.
All right. I love you, Madonna.
I do too.
Jason loves you also. Me and Jason are from Generation X, and we love you, Madonna, because it was you and Michael. Like, we love you, and we will never forget who you are, and we will never forget what you brought to the table, and we will never forget that you are Madonna, the diva. Like, you will always have this iconic status forever. You don't have to try so hard. It's not necessary.
And she doesn't. I'm a rock guy.
Yeah.
But I love her album Bedtime Stories.
Oh,
I still own it. I listen to it sometimes.
She's got great music that she's put out throughout her career. I love a lot of her early stuff. Yeah. Her Isla Bonita stuff is good, you know.
Her self-titled, or I don't know if it was self-titled, but her first album was one of my original cassettes from my Columbia House deal.
That's what I'm saying.
One I got.
Listen, Madonna, we love you. Stop trying to be. Listen, what you're trying to do in music is what Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene are trying to do in politics. Okay? I wanted to play you something, Jay.
Do it.
This is from earlier today. Or not earlier today, earlier this week. Okay? This is from earlier this week. And this is Lauren Boebert, okay, talking about her problems. You ready? Her problems.
She's got problems.
With Twitter. Because they had to go sit in front of the Intel Oversight Committee or whatever it is to discuss shadow banning and social media influencing, right? Because when these guys became in charge of Congress, this House GOP, they decided the most important things in the world was talking about pedophiles 24/7, allowing weird dudes with oversized glasses who look like John Lovitz at the age of 21 to lie to everybody in the halls of Congress constantly, and social media impact and whether they're allowed to be famous on social media. And this is Lauren Boebert discussing this. Take a listen to this, Jason.
Mr. Roth, Miss Gaddy, did either of you approve the shadow banning of my account at Lauren Boebert?
There's something interesting here. Pay attention.
Yes or no?
No, I did not.
Not to the best of my recollection.
Well, let me refresh your memory, because on March 12th, 2021, and Mr. Roth, I know you looked at it because Fascist Twitter 1.0 had a public interest exceptions policy, which means for members of Congress to be shadow banned, it had to go before you, Mr. Roth. So I'll ask again, did you shadow ban my account? Yes or no?
Again, not to the best of my recollection.
So the answer is, Mr. Roth, yes, you did. I found out last night from Twitter staff that you suppressed my account for this tweet. It's a freaking joke about Hillary Clinton being angry that she couldn't rig her election. It's a joke. But in response, being the sinister overlords that you all are, you placed a 90-day account filter so I could not be found. And now we see here that Twitter staff said the visibility filter on my account excluded me from top searches, prevented notifications for non-followers, and much more. This is considered an aggressive visibility filter. You silenced members of Congress from communicating with their constituents. You silenced me from communicating with the American people over a freaking joke. Now, who the hell do you think that you are?
Okay, let's talk to our friend Lauren for one quick second, Jason, okay? Number one, nobody in America knew who you were until you got elected to Congress. Literally, no one. And that means the month before you were elected, if I went to the state of South Dakota and I said the name Lauren Boebert, nobody would know who you are. If I went to the state of Utah and said Lauren Boebert, no one knew who you were. California, Missouri, Florida, Iowa, West Virginia, name a state in our union, and no one knew who you were. Right. So number one, America doesn't want to talk to you.
And in March 2021, she had been in Congress for like 2 months.
All right. Now, it gets better. It gets better. Then she goes, first off, the thing that I wanted you to pay attention to, Jason, was the shadow banning.
Yeah.
For many people, they thought that was a joke for years. Like this was just right-wing conservative Twitter always making up these things, and shadow banning was one of their conspiracy names, right? But as we saw, they asked two members of Twitter right there in front of her about the word shadow and shadow banning specifically. She said it, and they answered yes or or no to it. They didn't go, well, shadow banning doesn't exist. Like, because we know how these people are. They would have said shadow banning is not a real thing. So it's really funny to me that shadow banning does exist. But let's go one step further. Excluded you from top searches. Nobody was searching you out.
Right.
Once again, all of your constituents don't have Twitter. So they weren't stopping you from talking to all of your constituents. 2, a platform that you have zero control over, whether it's Elon owning it or somebody else owning it, doesn't mean that you are being denied your freedom of speech or the ability to interact. Listen, if they took you personally to Guantanamo Bay and they put you into a jail cell and they took away all of your electronic devices, right? All of your like your phone and anything, the laptops, everything, all right? And they wouldn't let you make phone calls or do anything at all. Then, at that moment, you, Lauren Boebert, from the great red state of Colorado, of course, the blue state, you would be then having your freedom of speech being denied. You then would be having all the things that you were accused of. Now, they are not, listen, they both answered no. And the minute you gave them the yes or no option, they said no. You go, obviously it's yes. And it's like, okay, so then you didn't want to hear what others say. See, and this is the problem with conservatives. You guys try too hard. You don't let things fall into place. Sure. Right now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is walking around. Listen, she's getting a taxpayer stipend to be a congresswoman. She spent days of this week that you're listening to us on KYRO today, the night that I'm going to wrestle and everything, like this week, walking around with a balloon, a fake balloon at Congress, because her thing was to make fun of the Chinese balloon and to try to troll people like it was some meme online. The liar stuff she did, that was to get her face on social media. Listen, Charlie Kirk, not a host on Fox News, not a host for CNN, not with Breitbart, not with the New York Times, not with the Washington Times, not with any major media outlet that any of you know, and you all sit there and pretend like he's somebody who's important. Steven Crowder, same thing. Ben Shapiro, same thing. And you guys sit there and think I'm the idiot. Ben Shapiro owns the Daily Wire. It's like, yeah, because at the time that he was trying to make it, nobody cared. So he created the Daily Wire because he had nowhere else to go. Now that he's got the fame and popularity, none of these other major players are even coming to the table to hire any of them. Nobody wants to give Ben Shapiro his own show 3 hours a day, like on Fox News or Fox TV or Fox this or OAN this or Newsmax that. Like, even those little crappy nothings, they're not doing anything for you. And like I said when I started this off, like Madonna, you're all just trying too hard to be social media influencers. The world has moved on. You're older ladies that no one's worried about. Madonna's an icon. Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and the rest of you are not.
That's true.
It's that simple. Madonna doesn't need to do it. She keeps doing it to try to keep up with TikTok and Chris Brown. Okay? Or Jason Derulo, right? That's not going to work for her. She just needs to stay being Madonna. And as the years goes by, she slowly gets to become Aretha. She gets to become Dolly. She gets to become the icon that everybody loves, right? The rest of you, you're just going to fall off. You're going to go away. The minute you're not allowed to be elected. Dude, Ted Cruz this week argued against term limits, and in the middle of arguing against term limits was on like his 6th attempted running to be elected, or the midterm or whatever. And it was like, you're literally arguing against the thing that you've just been doing for way too long. Like, you guys are a joke.
Wow, that's dangerous.
In every single way. Speaking of that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, it's going to be time for us to start our tournament of pop culture, the final round, the 4th round, one-hit wonders. Me and Jay and a coin flip that is going to determine whether certain songs move through. Now, this is where it gets dangerous. This is where me and Jay could be on opposite ends. We flip that coin, boom.
Dude.
Now all of a sudden,
Now this
he's right or
coin's
I'm
running.
right. Like the coin is going to be powerful in this. So, did your favorites make it? Did the list make? I feel like I have a very strong list this week. Okay, after the last two being decent lists, but they were solid. They were solid. I feel like this is a really strong one. I think we're finishing up on a really strong list. So this should be
There's
good.
been a song I've been waiting to pop up, and I think it's going to be on this one.
We're going to find out. Well, we're going to take a quick break here on KYRO, sponsored by John Beal Roofing. That's John Beal, JOHNBEAL, 1-800-JOHN Beal. Make sure you call them for all your roofing needs. We'll be back on the queue now, right after this.
Still Snoop Dogg and D.I.
1280 a.m. The KYRO. Mark Bland, Jason Cole, News Radio KYRO.com. We've got the Super Bowl here tomorrow. That's right, tomorrow the Kansas City Chiefs are taking on those Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. Can Patrick Mahomes get a second? That is the question, Jay.
I haven't made my mind up yet, but you know what I was telling one of my kids.
What were you telling one of your kids?
Isn't it crazy that there is a football team that is, I don't know what the percentages will be, but a large amount of people are rooting against them, and not because of any player on that team, but because of the wife and the brother.
You think that that's what it is? I don't think, not this year. I think that this year that they've been relatively quiet. They haven't.
But in the past, that's what I mean,
sure,
like that,
yeah, that's great from a couple of years ago when they were in the Super Bowl last or whatever it was. Like that's fine. Like I get that.
But there's been a rooting interest against them from that point.
I wouldn't say that that's why. I think that everybody is on Philadelphia's side around the United States because they don't like to see a Patrick Mahomes. They don't like to see dynasties.
Yeah.
Everyone hates a dynasty. This is why Tom Brady gets all the hell he gets. This is why LeBron James gets all the hell he gets. This is why these teams get the hell that they get. Like, listen, nobody's sitting here going, remember that Eagles dynasty with Nick Foles from like 2017? It's like, no, there was no dynasty there. It was just one win, one team.
Win. I tell you what, though,
this
be careful what they wish
Chiefs
for.
team getting into the AFC title game multiple times over the last 5 years and then a couple of Super Bowls on top of it, that's making them look like the favorite, even though this Philadelphia Eagles team is strong. It's really strong.
This Eagles team could be the beginning of a dynasty. They showed a stat the other day. That offensive line, the only team in the NFL where all 5 of the offensive linemen are in the top 10, rated top 10. So out of all the linemen, those 5 are all in the top 10. None of them are number 1. I think 1, 2, or 3. 2 of them are tied for 5th, and then it's like 6, 7, 8, 9. Like, so it's later in the top 10, but it's still top 10.
Well, Jason, if the top 10 is what impresses you, then the top 4 is definitely going to impress you even more because we are working on the top 4 for our Tournament of Pop Culture One-Hit Wonders. We are in round 4. This is the final round of the final 16 songs that we're going to put up. Whoever wins this is going to join a few others that you can go back and listen to episodes of The Q at theqnow.com. That's the website. Go back and take a listen to those episodes where we have broken this down. We have a penny here that is going to be our coin flip of choice. And so we will use that sparingly, hopefully. We're going to see. But I will say this, a good coin flip can be very helpful.
It can.
It can be very helpful because sometimes songs are really tough. Songs can be really tough, Jay, in this tournament. They really can be.
But the last time you and I agreed a lot more than Matt and I did, so that coin might not be needed as much.
Well, let's start off with our first section of round 4 here. Coming up to the bat first is this classic, sir.
Classic.
Oh, yes. Aha. Take On Me. Oh, yeah.
It's a good song. I like this song.
It is a good song.
You know what I think we discussed the last time when I said I would make CD mixtapes back when recording CDs became like, it was probably around 2000.
2001, somewhere in that range, yeah.
And this one would always, there would be a few 80s songs, and I'd make an 80s one.
Hey, listen, this is one of those 80s songs that whenever it comes on, it's like, oh, that's the 80s. Like, that's 100% it's indicative of the 80s. The music video is indicative of the 80s.
Keyboard sound, vocals, everything of this. Yes.
All right, that's right. Take On Me, aha. That's that one right there, okay? Now, that one right there, sir, is going to be taking on this classic from, I guess you would say, the early 2000s. Take a listen to this.
Roll another blunt. Yeah.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Afro Man. The song is called Because I Got High.
Yeah.
Very popular back in, like I said, what was it, like 03, 04?
Something
somewhere
like
in that
that.
range right there. Very popular in the early 2000s. But Afro Man was everywhere. Until I got high.
Yeah, that happens. It's a tough deal.
I was going to get up and find my broom, but then I got high. That room is still messed up, and I know why.
Why, man?
Why? What happened?
Because I got high.
That's it.
Because I got high.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
That guy
Now,
must get really high. 'Cause
The
there's
question
nothing I've
is,
ever not been able to do.
sir, the question is, which one of those two songs do you think is better? A better one-hit wonder? I am probably going to go with. I'm probably going to go with Aha.
You know what? I told you we wouldn't need a coin flip very often, and the reason is because I am also.
Well, no, I know that some of these are going to just kind of walk themselves in. You know what I'm saying? Like
that one wasn't as easy as people listening might think. Afro Man.
Listen,
Because I Got High
was a
time.
huge hit for quite a while, and it literally is a one-hit wonder from a time period now where, like, it feels like there aren't albums anymore anyway.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of like
individual.
solo single hits from artists. And it's
99
like,
cents.
oh, this was the Drake song from the beginning of 1999. Here's the Drake song from the beginning of 2002.
Yeah.
Like, we don't go, oh, that's on the such and such album. That's
Yep,
like,
you're right.
It seems like everything is like because of 99-cent value buys off of cell phones and everywhere else that these things kind of
You know
get
what? And
put
don't
that way.
underestimate the power of video. That's one of the reasons why Aha would power through. Classic video as well. You could do an MTV one-hit wonder type situation.
You sure could.
Because
You sure
that
could.
video is emulated today. There's a commercial out within the past 6 months that I've seen that use that same sort of live-action cartoon drawing, black and white.
Yeah. All right,
Mix.
we're going to move on because I have to write this down too. Take On Me moves on. So our next one that's up here, Jason, is this song.
Classic keyboard intro. Oh my God, it's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Of all time.
If I'm making
That's right. Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
We discussed this off the air about this having like an 8-9 minute 12-inch mix. And I used to play this a lot because it has a really long build-up that works well if your club had like sweeping lights and a fog machine, which where I DJ did because it's a little more on the white jar side.
That's fair. Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and it is going to be taking on another 90s classic that definitely a one-hit wonder. This band did not have anything else after this, but it's a very strong late 90s entry. Here we go.
Classic.
The Verve.
They got all their money back last year.
Bittersweet Symphony.
You know, the Rolling Stones sued them for the use of "You Can't Always Get What You Want" orchestra. That beginning there, they're using that, and they didn't ask permission. And last year, the Rolling Stones told their legal team to cut that. So now, I think Richard Ashcroft, is the guy's name. I'm pretty sure that's it. Now he can get money from this. All of it. Yes.
The Verve Bittersweet Symphony is taking on Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Relax, Jason. And the question, which of these two songs do you feel is stronger in our one-hit wonder marathon here that we're going with
For
this?
the Verve, it's a true one-hit wonder. Frankie Goes to Hollywood did have the Two Tribes song.
Sure,
that came out and
yeah,
had
I get
the
that.
USSR.
No.
USA
I
thing
get that.
going on.
Yeah, I understand, but for the most part, I would say that Frankie Goes Relax was kind of where everybody
in the 80s, people were wearing those white T-shirts with the black "Relax" written on them.
Yeah, that's all they did.
Right?
That's all they did. That's literally all they did. So, what do you think?
I'm going Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
I'm going to go relaxed also,
I think
sir.
it said like Frankie relaxed is what it would say. Or Frankie said relax. That's what it would say.
Yeah, Frankie says relax or something like
Yes,
that.
yes.
All right, here we go. Next round. Well, I don't know, Jay. What are they going to do?
What are they going to do?
What are they going to do? As long as it plays, things take a long time on this new internet controlled by Elon Musk.
Right? No. Good.
Twisted Sister. They're not going to take it, sir.
They are.
We ain't going to take it. To me, whenever I think of Twisted Sister, I always think of that scene from Pee Wee Herman's movie.
Yeah.
Pee Wee's Big Adventure or whatever it was, where they were doing the music video.
They're filming it.
And they're filming it, and he runs through on the mic. But this was huge. When it comes to metal music,
But they have all kinds of songs, though.
I would say if you're once again,
I Wanna Rock.
I would say that Twisted Sister, though, at the time when they first came out, right? I think now that so many years have passed, people have kind of cult style gone back and find things, and those things have also been kind of like associated over the years with them
It's
to the point where
definitely the song you
but
think
at the time, the only song they were really getting on the air at all was "We're Not Going to Take It." Like, this is where it was for Twisted Sister, and that's kind of how they made their name. That's kind of how they lived.
I Want to Rock piggybacked off this because they had the same similar type video.
All right. That song is going to be taking on this one. Oh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Football stadiums everywhere rejoice. This is like third quarter, into the third quarter music for some teams or something like that. There's a couple of teams that play this song every game.
Oh, I know.
This is fantastic.
This is good stuff right here.
This is.
And this is one-hit wonder legend status. This is an iconic one-hit wonder song.
He had stuff on his own, but as a group.
Oh, Everclear. That was on Everclear. As a group.
Yeah, he had his own stuff.
House of Pain, Jump Around, on their own. That's going up against, like I said, that's going up against We're Not Going to Take It by Twisted Sister. What do you think, sir?
I am going House of Pain.
You're going to go House of Pain.
I do like, obviously Twisted Sister's great, but like I said, I feel like for me, being a metal fan, I've heard too many other songs from them to be like, oh yeah. Now granted, that is the song they're known for, but they had the similar video with I Want to Rock where the same guy gets beat up and comically thrown out of a house, all that stuff.
Okay, fair enough. I see where you're going with that.
And that's classic.
I think I'm going to go Jump Around simply because Jump Around is, once again, when I hear Jump Around, I go, that's 90s hip hop. That's boom bap. That's it right there. That is literally 90s hip hop, and that is maybe not the most identifiable group or iconic group, but when it comes to every soccer stadium, every football stadium, every basketball stadium, every baseball stadium, TV shows, movies, it has been done 1,000 times. It gets put into commercials. It has literally run the culture.
And it's awesome.
That's right. Jump Around is just awesome.
I bought that album. I bought that CD.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, this one should tug at your heartstrings a little bit. Faith No More and their late 80s classic, Epic.
Yeah, like 89 or something.
Fantastic song. Let's let this ride for a second.
But they're that's another thing. It was probably their biggest hit, but they're still around. They got back
sure,
together.
but listen. We're also looking at this 40 years down the road in most cases.
True.
Do you see what I'm saying? We're doing one-hit wonders, and if we were into these guys at the time that these songs are out, this is all they got on the radio. This is the only thing I ever heard from Faith No More. Literally at that time period. There was nothing else, and another few years would go by before I heard another Faith No More track, honestly. So they lived off of this as a one-hit wonder for a few years and still do. To this day, that song is more identified with them than anything else that they've ever done.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
For sure. Now, that song is going to be going up against what I consider a tough competitor from the late 90s, mid-90s actually, in this one. Oh, that's right. We're going to dance. And have some fun, buddy.
This song is awesome.
Oh, yeah. D-Light, that groove is in the heart. That's right, D.
Bootsy Collins is a group. Whoever that girl was.
Yeah.
Just remember the video of Bootsy's face, and then she's like dancing. This is in Beavis and Butthead.
All right. So, Groove is in the Heart versus Epic by Faith No More. Groove is in the Heart versus Epic by Faith No More. What do you got?
I am going Groove is in the Heart by
I am also going Groove is in the Heart, sir.
Way more of a one-hit wonder than
all right.
Than those guys.
Here is our next up in the competition. Here it goes. Oh, hold on. That's some D-Light still. We're going to have to get her back.
Get out of here. You've had your moment.
Here we go. Foster the People.
This is a heavy subject matter, too.
Foster the People. Pumped Up Kicks. Very heavy.
Yeah.
Written about the Columbine tragedy, where the two kids went into the school and shot it up. That is going against what we consider, I wouldn't say necessarily a classic, but I would say that this song, when it comes, like I said, disco seems to have an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Stuff that's disco-y is always catchy.
Yep.
And it works. That's where we're at here, ladies and gentlemen. Foster the People versus Van McCoy and his fun song called The Hustle.
Do the hustle.
Oh, it's coming, buddy. We're going to let that ride up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
It's got a
We're
build
gonna
up.
we're going to get that bad boy in there.
It's like I'm watching an episode of Solid Gold.
Oh, yeah. Do the hustle, Jay. Do the hustle. All right. Do the Hustle versus Pumped Up Kicks. And then we're going to hit the break here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break. So what do you got? Pumped Up Kicks or The Hustle?
I'm going to go Do the Hustle.
You're going to go Do the Hustle for a one-hit wonder. You like that one a little bit better.
It just seems way more a one-hit wonder.
I feel that we've hit Pumped Up Kicks is a one-hit wonder technically for Foster the People. Once again, for a few years, like 4, 5, 6 years, they didn't really have any other hits, and then they've caught some in the last few years.
I definitely like Pumped Up Kicks.
I think that we've reached the first time we've got to use the coin, bud.
All right, here we go.
Used the coin. So we are going to say heads is the hustle.
Yeah.
Tails is the Pumped Up Kicks.
All right.
Okay? So I'm just going to flip it right here onto the piece of paper. And we're going to take a look. It is heads. The hustle is
wins.
moving on, ladies and gentlemen. I do feel
most important coin flip until tomorrow.
I do feel that coin flip right there is probably
it's going to ride up there with what
this one
tomorrow.
is. This is going to, buddy. This could be what I consider a massive defeat. I did not see the hustle, which I'm not against the hustle. But I did not foresee it taking out Pumped Up Kicks. I thought Pumped Up Kicks, for especially the cultural aspect over the last 20 years and how it's kind of come around. Like
I actually like that song.
It hasn't even been 20 years, but like for the last 10 years solid. You know what I'm saying? It's been quite a while. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break here on the Q. When we come back, more with myself and Jason Cole in this tournament of pop culture one-hit wonders. We'll be back on the Q after this. Welcome back to the Q now. Mark Bland, Jason Cole.
Almost cut my hair.
Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Throwback for our friend David Crosby, who passed away recently.
Just the other day.
Big fan. Are you a fan of, like, where do you stand with the members of Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young and their famous arguments and their back and forth bickering and the sides that they've taken with each other? Where do you stand on that? I feel like it's
childish, but at the same point, I feel like when you talk to a couple of them, there seems like real reasoning behind the way that they act. Like, oh, you said this about my wife and called her this and blah, blah, blah. Like, real thing. And then this person comes off playing like, they're just being idiots and old potheads.
Well,
and this,
it's a little like that, but what happens with bands like that is they don't need each other for anything. So if they don't like each other, why play with each other? So they just stayed away for that reason. Like Neil Young had his own, obviously, great solo career, but Stephen Stills did. David Crosby had a solo career. Graham Nash did to an extent. And so, like, when you famously don't get along, there's no reason to go to you. Like other bands where they need each other because otherwise they're not going to have a job.
That's fair.
Tend to stick together, even though they hate each other.
We are doing our next round of the end of the first round of this fourth installment of our Tournament of Pop Culture for Best One Hit Wonders. And we're starting this one off with this section off with.
Oh, wow.
Blind Melon. 90s indicative hardcore. Right? Like when you hear this song, you're like, oh, that's the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, that's for sure the 90s.
With Aha, you have a iconic video with it.
Oh, yeah, very
Bumblebee Girl.
To the point where it became part of American, what was that movie? American Beauty?
But yeah.
Yeah, where she dressed up as the Bumblebee Girl to play it again and all that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time cultural impact. And for the 90s, this song, kind of like The Verb, Bittersweet Symphony, kind of had a run.
Right.
Had a run for a while, like a big top hit.
Like we've used in the past, you play this song in a crowded bar full of some Gen Xers.
Oh, yeah, you're going to get people that just love it. But if you also play this song in a crowded bar...
And it doesn't have to be Gen Xers.
And it doesn't have to be Gen Xers. Do it!
Some end of the road, like late boomers would love this.
Now, between this and No Rain, that's going to be a tough call, man. I mean, I'm not sure if I can give that to No Rain. I feel like I got to go play that funky music.
I think so, too.
I got to go play that funky music. I think it's catchier. I think it's a little more upbeat, more up-tempo.
And Blind
a
Melon
little bit something that people would want, you know?
Blind Melon had a couple other songs that kind of made it on MTV here and there. They made some videos for. These guys didn't.
Right. These guys didn't have anything.
Right.
And on top of that, play that funky music also gets played by other people. Like it gets discussed, it gets talked about, it gets used in nightclubs and stuff like that. Whereas Blind Melon, as much as I do like that song, I don't think it gets played much outside of what? Maybe alternative radio, rock radio for the classic rock radio. Because at this point now, the 90s are classic rock, right?
Yeah, 30 years
Are
old.
the 80s classic rock?
Well,
it's tough for us to, like, I think of the 90s as potentially classic rock or edging on classic rock now. Like, you're 30 years ago in 93.
I think KC plays some stuff that's from the 90s. But you know what? I'll give a challenge to anyone listening. Tonight, go find a wedding somewhere and go sit in. You will not hear No Rain, but you probably will hear play that funky music.
For sure. Yeah. So I'm going to go play that funky music.
Too.
All right. This one can be difficult. We're going to start off right here with this. EMF, also a 90s one-hit wonder. The song is called Unbelievable.
That's a good one. A very one-hit wonder. They were gone.
Oh, yeah. This is like Jesus Jones.
Like called Schubert Hip or something like that. That's how it's called.
Yeah.
Something like that.
All right. That's EMF. That's Unbelievable. Right. Classic song. Very iconic. Very well known. And
English vocal there.
You have definitely heard this one that it's going against.
Oh, yeah.
If you were anywhere in 1987, 88,
right?
Between this and Paul Simon's You Could Be My Bodyguard, and like these two songs, like, and don't worry, be happy. This turned Bobby McFerrin into like a legend. Listen, Bobby McFerrin is what your TikTok
like one-hit wonder TikToker who has like a super viral video for like one thing is in 2023. That's what Bobby McFerrin was. It was
all
this.
the instruments are his
I do all the instruments with my mouth.
Yeah.
It's very visual.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's easy to play along with. It's literally TikTok.
And he snaps his finger.
And that's where we're kind of at right now, sir. We are at Bobby McFerrin. Don't worry. Be happy. Versus EMF Unbelievable, Jason. That's right. EMF Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, what's going through your mind?
Well, I do not own any Bobby McFerrin albums, but I do own this EMF album with this song on it. And it's the only one I own. And I don't know if it's the only one they have, but it's definitely the only one I own.
Okay.
So I'm just going to have to go EMF.
You're going to go EMF on this one.
Yeah.
I think that I am going to join you in that world. I think EMF is going to go on through on this one. Unbelievable is the name of the song. Because I think that it, once again, I like something a little more upbeat, but I also think that it lends more to that one-hit wonder kind of category. EMF kind of comes off, not that Bobby McFerrin didn't.
No, it
I just
definitely
feel
is.
like sometimes it's about the matchup.
Yeah.
I feel like a Bobby McFerrin could get through on some of these other songs that have already lost. Like Don't Worry, Be Happy versus Epic by Faith No More.
Yeah, maybe.
I would have gone probably Bobby McFerrin versus Faith No More.
That's a strong one-hit wonder, EMF.
It is. It really is.
And it hits us when we were at our prime music life, you know what I mean? Like, we weren't kids anymore. All of our music choices were our own.
Right. Of course. Of course.
You know.
And that's why we do this, ladies and gentlemen. This is a competition. We are going to find out who gets to where and what and for what reasons. Yeah. And, that's why we do this. That's why we're really excited about this. Okay, so last one, first round, and then we're going to move on to round two. Tony Basil.
Tony Basil, right?
Early 80s.
Also an iconic-ish video with her, right? I mean, this video where she's dancing around in that.
And to be honest with you, I mean, there were other one-hit wonders before Tony Basil and Hey Mickey. But I would say this about Tony Basil and Hey Mickey. I feel like Hey Mickey was the first one-hit wonder where they focused on it and called it a one-hit wonder. And then Rick Astley kind of picked up that baton a few years later and just became the most identifiable one-hit wonder that became a meme eventually.
Yeah, and a pop culture reference, Rickrolled.
That's right.
I'm going to play you this song. Oh, no,
right.
switch up.
Because it's a one. Even though Rick had other songs, like we've talked about, like that song is kind of Rick. Now, Mickey's going to be going up against what most people don't remember or think about as a one-hit wonder, but it totally was. And it was super catchy. The Darkness. I Believe in a Thing Called Love.
You know, they just played somewhere over in, I think it was in Liverpool, and the venue caught on fire.
Really?
Yeah, they had a fire in it. They had to evacuate, and then they came back and started the concert over again.
Every time I think of fires, I always think of the Great White or whatever it was, or whoever it was. Was it Great? Was it Great White?
Great White.
Well, it was Great White. Yeah.
The station.
Now this is called "I Believe in a Thing Called Love."
That's a good song.
Remember this part, everybody? Said she need. That's right. You remember. You all remember.
This is fantastic.
You're in your car right now, going, "Oh yeah, I love that song."
Try to go. Everybody, if you're alone in your car and you don't try to sing that song if it comes on the radio, then just take your radio and throw it out the window.
Fair,
it's useless.
Fair enough. All right, so I Believe in a Thing Called Love or Hey Mickey by Tony Basil.
I'm going with The Darkness because I just like that way better.
I'm gonna go Mickey.
Ooh,
I am definitely gonna go Mickey. We're gonna go heads for The Darkness.
All right.
We're gonna go tails for Mickey. Okay. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna flip it up and we're gonna flip it and we've got.
Oh, Mickey's moving on.
Oh, Mickey.
Good job, Tony.
Hey, well, listen. Like I said, if there is a song that I identify with one-hit wonders, Mickey is one of them.
I do not begrudge that victory because that is a one-hit wonder.
That's right. All right. So the second round always takes a little less time than the first round, and this is going to move a lot faster, ladies and gentlemen. Take On Me versus Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Relaxed.
That's rough.
Relax versus Take on Me. Both 80s iconic hits.
For sure.
I would say that if I was to, but see, whereas you said Frankie kind of might have had a little bit more love on the backside with like a second smaller things afterwards. I know Aha really didn't.
I don't think so.
I don't think Aha and anything else.
Jumps in my head.
And as identifiable as Take on Me in the video is for like that whole idea, it really encapsulates that 1980s really well.
Yes.
I think I got to go Take on Me by Aha.
Yeah, I have weird reasoning when I've been.
I know where your relaxed is with the whole longer
That's what I'm
cut and
saying,
playing it and all. There's a nostalgia there, and there's nothing wrong with playing from your nostalgia.
And
is it better than Take on Me by Aha?
Well, see, that's the thing. In DJing days, I've done 80s nights, and I've gotten great success with Aha. People like it. But I've never had more fun with a song than Frankie Goes to Hollywood, so I'm going to go with that.
And here's the thing. If I was at a nightclub and I put both of these songs on, I think the dance floor is going to have people that jump either way and play in love for either. So we're going to have to flip the coin.
Let's do it. And you know what? Your crowd might be even different for both songs.
So Take on Me is heads.
All right.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax is tails. We're going to flip that bad boy right there, and it comes up. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, relax. He does say to relax, and we are moving relax on. Next round, Groove is in the Heart versus House of Pain and Jump Around. Two 90s heavyweights.
Yeah, right?
Legitimately. God, I really love Groove is in the Heart, too. That's the sad part, but I don't know if it beats Jump Around. Like, Jump Around it comes on, everybody nods their head. Everybody, I don't care your age. Like, this might not be necessarily boomers loving it, but I guarantee you there's some 60-year-olds who remember this from when they were in their 40s, and they would bump their head to it. Like, it's one of those songs. Groovin' in the Heart, it's kind of more like you said, a mixed CD love. It's like, if I was going to make a 90s mix CD, and I wanted to get unique songs that I don't hear all the time, Groove is in the Heart definitely going on there, not Jump Around. If I am asked about name a one-hit wonder from the 90s, I would probably grab Jump Around before Groove is in the Heart.
Yeah,
mentally.
You wouldn't even think about it first. You would have to hear it and go, oh, yeah.
Like, I really would. I really would. So I'm going to go Jump Around.
You know what? Here's the thing. I owned a CD of Jump Around. I only owned a cassette single of Delight.
There it is.
I'm going Jump Around.
So Jump Around moves on. All right.
Yes, people, we are that old. We own cassette singles.
That's right. Our only disco entry for this round that has done well so far. It moved on after the first round. It took out Pumped Up Kicks. It's now going up against Play That Funky Music White Boy by Wild Cherry. The Hustle, Van McCoy, by going up against Wild Cherry. Play That Funky Music White Boy. I don't think this one's as hard.
No, not really.
They're both 70s hits. They're both one-hit wonders. But I think Play That Funky Music is just the stronger of these two.
Well, The Hustle's like a car commercial from the 70s.
It kind of is.
It's kind of boring. It never really peaks.
You're right. It doesn't peak. There's no peak for The Hustle. Like, the best part's when you go, do the hustle.
And it just stays that way. Right?
Do the
And
hustle.
it stops, and you say it again, and you just keep doing it.
And you just keep doing it.
Right?
Okay. Our last one of this round, EMF, Unbelievable, versus Tony Basil, Mickey.
So fun.
I remember my days at the radio station. We were an alternative radio station. We actually fed the Point a lot of DJs. So a lot of our music base was in a very similar style, but on the college side, we were catching a lot of these tracks before they would become popular in mainstream. Unbelievable by EMF. Huge hit. Massive hit. Mickey, on the other hand, I just remember it like enveloping my radio as one of like the go-to hits of the 80s when I was a kid. Like it was everywhere, and I don't think that EMF and Unbelievable match up against Mickey.
No, Mickey's on every Time Life best of thing, and EMF is only going to be on the one I would make.
Okay, so you're saying Mickey.
I'm saying Mickey.
I'm saying Mickey.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to take a quick break here on KYRO. That's 105.3 FM at 1280 AM KYRO. We are the Q now. I'm Mark Bland. That is Jason Call. This tournament of pop culture. We are down to the final four of this round. When we come back, we're going to finish up this final four of the tournament of pop culture and get our last of the main four. That's right. We are down next week to the championship, Jay. We are going to determine which of those four songs, the one that we add today, plus the other three that have already made it through, is the ultimate one-hit wonder. And like we said, we couldn't get everything.
No,
we couldn't get everything. There are so many one-hit wonders. Trust me, there are other good songs that could have easily made these lists.
I think we said before, we could have like the NIT version.
We could literally do the NIT
right?
version.
And have a whole other one.
Or we could go to 78 teams if we need to. It doesn't matter. We'll be back on the Q now after this. 1280 AM, KYRO. Jason Cole, Mark Bland, the tournament of pop culture one-hit wonders. Mickey. Mickey has made it.
It's on the way.
They are on the way.
Tony.
Mickey is on the way. She is in our final four of this tournament of pop culture. We have four left on this round, Jay.
Did she die a couple years ago?
I do not have that information. Maybe you can look that up. You look that
while
up.
we prepare this.
While we prepare this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are down to four fantastic final songs of this one-hit wonders tournament. Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Jump Around, Play That Funky Music, White Boy, and Mickey by Tony Basil. As you just heard, she's still alive.
She's 79.
79 years old.
80 this year.
Whoa.
All right.
She's up there.
Not kidding. How old was she when she made that song?
Probably in her 30s.
Yeah, at least.
Maybe in her 40s, possibly.
Yeah.
All right. So, first up in our final four, Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Relax versus Jump Around.
Oh, my God.
By House of Pain. Now, I don't think of this personally as much of a competition.
Yeah?
I really think this is House of Pain, Jump Around. Like, I know for you it's more nostalgia-based.
That's true.
For me, Relax was just a song in the 80s along with Der Kommissar or any of the other ones that existed.
You know, here's the thing. Like,
Jump Around is like super one-hit wonder indicative. Like,
I'd be more likely to pop on Jump Around if I'm in my car. Frankie Goes to Hollywood was more of like it was a great song, but as a means to an end. I used it in DJing to like get a vibe across.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's still kind of what it was used for. Like even
I would use it
if I was to ask you right now, Jason.
Yeah.
Relax. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Think of the most identifiable thing you've heard that song associated with. What would it be? I can tell you what it is for me. What is it for you?
Me. Playing it in the club
okay, so for me, it's Zoolander. When he gets into the breakdance fighting and all that, they do Frankie Goes. Exactly. So when I identify it, like, see, there is love there. There is Relax, but it's not like Jump Around love. Jump Around love is like eternal and keeps going forever and ever.
They both have iconic, like, when that happens.
Sure.
But the organ part of, or whatever, the trumpet part of Jump Around, also, when you hear that, boom, you know exactly what it is. I'm going to go Jump Around.
All right.
Yeah.
So Jump Around moves into the finals, and we are going to have that go up against either Wild Cherry, Play That Funky Music, White Boy, or Mickey by Tony Basil. Now, this is going to be tough, and the reason is we're not too far off in style.
Not really.
From each other.
About
but
5 years apart, too.
I do feel that Mickey, and they're both strong one-hit wonders. I would say that if I was to, once again, this idea, we're at a bar. You go and play it on the jukebox. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to jump for both of these. Like, I don't see one outshining the other. If I had to choose, I would probably go, man, that's tough. I'd probably go Play That Funky Music
You know, and it depends on what
because I think Mickey at a certain point, the first couple of chorus and refrains are cool, but in a while it's kind of like D-Light, Groove is in the Heart, or The Hustle. It's the same thing over and over again.
And I guess it would be like what you wanted to get from playing that in a bar, and if you wanted to get as many girls to rush the dance floor, if there's a dance floor, you put on Mickey.
Right.
If you didn't, then you just put on something else. But yeah, I see what you're saying, where it just kind of becomes repetitive. You know, there are other lyrics to the song, but that's pretty much derivative over. You know, oh Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. It's just over and over and over again.
All right, so we're gonna go with Play That Funky Music,
and I've heard covers of Play That Funky Music. I don't think anyone's ever covered Hey Mickey like on a realistic level. Like,
all right, that's fair. That's fair. That's where we are at, ladies and gentlemen. We now have our finals. That's right. We have our finals. And what I love about our finals is we've got Play That Funky Music, White Boy, right?
Yeah.
Against Jump Around by House of Pain. And I don't know where to go with this at all.
You know, I kind of feel like Jump Around is kind of the music equivalent of Terminator 2 in the 90s. If you're comparing one-hit wonders and action movies of all time, I mean, that's a huge song.
Jump Around?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's tough. I don't know if Wild Cherry literally stands up to this.
No, but like
I think that Wild Cherry is a good song.
Yeah,
and I think Play That Funky Music, White Boy is great. I think as we move forward, and we're watching as diversity becomes a big thing in our lives, and think anything where they're denotating out color of individuals or anything like that, I feel like is slowly just going to get left in the past anyway. Kind of like all the other bad stuff. And not saying they Play That Funky Music, White Boy is a bad song.
But yeah, I get it.
Or evil or negative or anything like that. But I just feel like if I had to choose between one of these, I feel Jump Around is a better overall one-hit wonder than Play That Funky Music.
You know what?
I think they're both good.
I just had a separate reasoning that popped in my head for Jump Around.
What's that?
There's been no covers of that because no one can do it better.
Right. That's a good example.
There's covers of Play That Funky Music by multiple bands.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, our big winner, Jump Around by House of Pain. It moves into the finals. Now, let's see here.
Way to go, everyone.
What do we got on our finals now? Our finals now consist of, was it Ice Ice Baby?
Yes. That was the first one.
And there was, what was after that? Now I got to go back to our list. I don't even have our list in front of us for me to go back to. 99 Left Balloons.
Yeah, that was last week's.
That was last week's, 99 Balloons. And then there was one more, and I'm trying to remember what that one was. Obviously, it's not that great of a one-hit wonder. No. I don't feel that we just don't have them right here in front of us at this exact moment. But the Jump Around today moves into our finals along with the other three songs. We will do that finale next week here on the Q Now. We're also going to have a local St. Louis broadcasting legend, in my opinion, somebody who I watched growing up in the broadcasting world, and I really appreciated what he brought to the table, and I learned things from him. Don Marsh. Is a novelist and a former broadcaster. He is going to be joining us for a few minutes to talk about his brand new novel that he just put out. So we got that coming up next week, along with our finale for the Tournament of Pop Culture Best One-Hit Wonder. Your winner is House of Pain, Jump Around. And I love that. I just love that.
And it's really,
is there anything that didn't hit the list? Now that we've completed these 4 rounds, is there anything that didn't hit the list that you think, okay, this definitely should have been there, but it didn't make it?
One of the only things I think it was left off on purpose, was probably Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up. And they probably left it off on purpose because it's so obvious. But one I thought might have popped up but it's a little more obscure, is Josie Cotton's Johnny, Are You Queer?
Johnny, Are You Queer? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a problem.
I mean, it's an 80s song, so it's obviously, you probably couldn't make that today. But when you talk about nostalgia, it's in that Valley Girl age, like
all right.
80.
Let's see what we've got here. Okay,
maybe?
let's see what we've got here.
Johnny was the
fantastic, right?
It seems kind of niche, though. I mean, I know the song.
Yeah, I mean, it's for
but I
that
don't
era.
think it stands up as strong as even the Hustle did, though. As far as like
for me.
popularity.
Well,
That's
no,
what
popularity,
that's
no,
what I'm talking about. Like, I feel like the one-hit wonder that goes on and wins is going to be a really popular song, kind of like T2. Remember with the Terminator situation?
Don't when you hear the Hustle, you just have this vision of like a bunch of white people in a row dancing with each other, down,
Kind
dip,
of.
back,
Kind of.
dip, move it back, and then lots of smiling going on.
Jay.
Yes.
I have some of our favorite unpopular opinions.
Yeah.
You know, we love to listen to these. We love to talk about these. And while we have a few minutes here, I'd like to just kind of go through some and kind of just see what you think. Where do you think these things land on this list? Okay. Hold on one second, because of course, everything has to break on the internet now that Elon Musk is involved.
All right.
Okay? Everything has to be trash. Everything has to be trash. Actually, you know what? Let's do these hypotheticals. Okay?
I like those too.
Hypotheticals. We'll do hypotheticals here, okay? Jason.
Yes.
If when you die, someone takes the VR headset off your head and asks you how the virtual life was, what's the first thing you would say?
What now? Right.
Like, think about that. They take the headset off. You died, right? And then all of a sudden the headset comes off and you were just in a virtual reality. Like all of this radio show was just something that your mind made up that you wanted to be involved with. You found a guy that was me, maybe through some other weird, like all of this is just virtual reality. And then they take the headset off, and I live in England. I don't even live here. I'm American, but I'm American who moved over to Spain or something, right? You live here, but you're not even originally from Iowa. You're actually from Seattle, Washington. And you just are like,
right?
What? I'm in Seattle, Washington. Your mom and dad are not your mom and dad. The people that you grew up with are just not your mom and dad. All of this was a simulation. Would you?
We have the beginnings of a Netflix special here.
We probably do. Black Mirror. Yeah, it's a Black Mirror special.
Do not steal this.
But that's what you would say. You would just be like, what next?
I would just like
there wouldn't be anything else?
Real. Like what now or why?
Let me ask you a question.
Why did you do this?
Would you try to find your wife?
I would.
In real life?
I would try to connect with everyone.
Just to see, would you, and what if
Who are you?
Here's the best part. What if you pull the VR headset off and they go, yeah, that was all VR. None of that was real. None of those people exist.
Oh.
That's all fake. Like your kids don't exist. But then again, in real life, your kids would exist because they would take their headsets off wherever, and their parents would be whoever they are. And it's just like, man, that'd be tough.
Yeah, it would stink.
It would kind of stink.
I think I'd become violent.
What animal would you choose to fight against Iron Man? If Iron Man was in a battle with the Mark and the Jason of the Q Now, what animal would you choose to battle Iron Man with? Because Iron Man has all these talents and all these missiles and bombs and gimmicks and stuff like that. Whatever animal it is.
Maybe a nice sperm whale, or which one's bigger, a blue whale or a sperm whale?
Can I go a little outside the box on this one?
Maybe?
Can I go outside the box?
Yeah,
I mean, you're going there with the T-Rex, but can I go a little bit further?
Yeah.
How about a human being?
Yeah.
A mammal. The human. The apex predator that can think and work just another human being.
You're gonna send for
because I feel like me and you as human beings are going to do a lot better, at least coming off the top of our heads, with what we could attack Iron Man with, or a game plan that could be useful. Right? As opposed to just having a bear standing next to us and going, okay, bear, fight. Like, you know what I'm saying? He'll just blow the bear up and then kill us. And it's like, well, at least maybe Jason could be nimble and avoid the bomb or something and go hide. And then, he kills me and then Jason
use the
can get him.
T-Rex to, distract him. And then we could try to come up with something.
But it wouldn't be me and you at the same time. It would just be you and the T-Rex versus Iron Man, or me and my bear versus Iron Man. Do you see what I'm saying?
Hopefully we drag him out a little bit, loosen him up a little bit for you. Make him a little tired. for the round with the bear.
Now, this is going to be an interesting question, sir. In fact, could you do me a favor?
Mm-hmm.
Could you get up and go over there, flip those lights off?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go flip them lights off real quick. Yeah, you're all wrapped up. You got things through all kinds of stuff right there. You just walk over, flip them lights off. Let's go. Yeah. Jump in here. I want to get this opinion off of you with the lights off, where we're just kind of sitting here.
The flag's illuminated.
Just kind of illuminated in our radio love. This is the way we should.
Sorry, listen to me.
This is how we should do the show every week if it weren't for the fact that I need to read.
Yeah, reading dumb.
Okay. If planet Earth was a science fair, Jason Cole, competing with other planets around the universe, what would be Earth's best option to showcase?
Super volcanoes.
Super volcanoes.
Of course, we'd kill all of us, but
well, I'm just saying this is a showcase, right? Like we step up to the podium, like Miss whatever in the Miss Universe pageant, and we have to show them our biggest talent, our thing that literally makes us viable or valuable versus everyone else. What could we show off of Earth that shows that we have value?
Or a big volcano.
Do we just give them Dolly Parton? Do we just show them Dolly Parton
There you
and
go.
go?
We gotta look
take
at
it
this.
like look at Dolly Parton. Okay, first off, if you're a guy, how could you not love this?
Right?
How
Look at
could
that.
you not love a beautiful woman like Dolly Parton? Two, such a sweet person, right? If there was a person who embodied that Betty White vibe, right? That constant, eternal goodness at all times, Dolly Parton probably would be that individual.
She looks like she's never been angry.
She's been and she's talented. She literally can pull her guitar out and then start to play music and things that come from the earth that we could show that, hey, listen, your planet just has sulfur and spewing volcanoes and angry rock. We have this person singing a beautiful song, right?
Yeah. Well, there you go. I think you're talking like
I feel
from
like
Earth, like part of the planet.
Well, yeah, but that is part of our planet. I think
so.
Dolly Parton is a human being on this earth, that the earth, it came from the earth, and I feel she's been created here. So I would put her out there. If it was a physical piece of the earth.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know, man.
Maybe our deep ocean fish. Those things are crazy.
They are. The ones with the light bulbs over their face, like in Nemo and all that.
All of them, they're just so weird. Transparent fish, they're weird.
If you had to put all of it, this last question before we get out of here on this episode of the Q Now. Oh man, they got if you wanted to chat with any person who ever lived for 30 minutes, who would it be? They have a lot of interesting ones on here. I'm just looking at some of them. If you would become a teacher, what would you pick to teach?
There you go.
What would you pick to teach? I did pick it. I picked drama. That's what I wanted to teach. What would you pick?
History.
You pick history?
Oh, yeah.
It's your favorite thing?
Yeah, by far.
All right. Well, then let's end on this one. You ready?
Yep.
What historical event would you delete from history and why? What historical event? Now, remember, we can look back. There's a ton of horrible, horrible moments in history that have happened that we could delete. We could delete the Holocaust, but I wouldn't just delete the Holocaust. I would delete Adolf Hitler killing the Reich and taking power.
Just get rid of him.
I would get rid of that opportunity and then see where things go. Because I feel like the failed attempt would catch him and they would take care of him on their own. I feel like that if we're talking about historically now, I feel like that's the closest thing to something absolutely just disgusting that I would probably stop.
I think I would delete the...
Not baby Hitler, though. I'm not trying to kill all
kill
babies
a
or
baby.
anything like that.
Even if it's Hitler.
Even if it's Lauren Boebert.
Right?
We're not trying to kill anything.
I can't
We're not
kill
trying
a
to kill
baby. Come on.
anybody or anything.
I would delete the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
You would?
I think that drugged the country down and we've never come back up.
I think that
cynicism and everything.
Cynicism has been bad, everything. And I think that...
and it just created
the
more
last
bad
10 years, things were going fine until we hit 9/11. 9/11, I think, really kind of brought us down. That kind of killed that decade for the most part. We were starting to come back by the late 2000s, like 08, 09. We get Obama in there.
Yep.
We get past all this horrible recession and the war on terror and all that crap. And everything seems to be going better and better and better. And we got everything moving in an upward angle in 2011, 12, 13, 14, right? 15 comes along and Trump decides everything goes right back down and trash again. It's like, okay.
If I'm deleting recent events, I'm deleting his victory in 2016.
You're deleting that victory in 2016. That's where you're going to hit. That's where you're going to end it at, huh?
Any decent individual will look back at what he did and see we would be so much better off if he never existed.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us on this episode of The Q. Now, I am your host, Mark Bland. That is Jason Cullover.
Victory lap.
Thank you so much once again. House of Pain, our big winner in the Tournament of Pop Culture Best One-Hit Wonder. It moves on to the finals, which will be next show. So tune in next week. Now, I think everything's fine now. Good luck to the Chiefs. I hope that they win the Super Bowl because that's who I'm picking. Won't be mad if Philadelphia wins, but hey. Also, tonight, I am going to be possibly wrestling my last wrestling match. I don't know. We're going to find out. But as of right now, it's me and Shaft, bro.
He'll lose that. He's going to lose that commissioner.
I hope he does. All right, that's going to do it for us here on this episode of The Q on KYRO. Check us out at theqnow.com. Old episodes, new episodes, and everything in between. We will see you guys next time on the show.